Where are you at, Megan?
Nick, you probably got to unmute her.
Yeah, we're good. Okay, you guys, welcome to our Sunday night team training. We are so excited and blessed to have Gordon Hester on with us. And Gordon is going to share with us his just incredible knowledge about how to be more successful with the time that we spend in our business. So I'm just not going to speak anymore, Gordon. I'd like for you to take it over so that we can maximize our time with you. I hope you all have your pens and paper ready so that you can take notes and learn.
Hey, thanks, Casey. I appreciate it. There's nothing like a call about efficiency with a nice, efficient bio. I love that. So for those of you that don't know me, and I don't know if there's new people on the call, but I'll just give you a quick bio on myself so you know a little bit about me and maybe why I'm on the call and why I'm sharing with you like literally 26 years of experience in direct selling. I've been with the Juice Plus company for over 25 years. I ran the business operations to Jeff Roberti, who's your #1 business earner, actually top 10 in the history of direct selling and network marketing. I work currently as a consultant for the company, and I work with the direct selling industry as part of their global research team. So I'm somebody that has seen this business from every place you can possibly see it. And what I wanted to do tonight, what I was actually excited about doing, was to tell you guys how to build the business more effectively. Because I assume that all of you on the line are likely in the business and trying to figure out how to be more successful, how to grow faster, how to make this thing work, maybe even understand how this business really works. And I don't think this is something that's necessarily taught a lot. We teach the how-tos of our business, but not really the how-to of how to make this thing work bigger, faster, and really have unlimited potential. So I thought that would be a good thing to focus on tonight. You know, if I kind of look at the top of the house, I will tell you this. There have been numerous studies done on our industry, and they all come to the same conclusion, and that is the #1 reason why people leave this business is because they do not feel they're getting value for the time they invest. So I always tell people there's 2 questions that distributors are going to ask themselves from the day they start till however long they're in the business. Can they do it, and is it worth it? And those are 2 really important questions that you're always sort of trying to address here. Now, a lot of times when I say value and time, the first thing people think is about money. And for a lot of people, value is about money. And what we know in the context of staying engaged in the business and where people find sort of a foothold or a foundation to build on, we know that that number from a financial standpoint is $300 to $500 a month. So what the studies in the industry have shown is that if you can make $300 to $500 a month, for the average person, that actually makes a difference. It gives them choices they don't have. It gives them some level of financial and time freedom that they don't have, maybe a vacation, maybe they can buy something they don't want. And for a lot of people, this is really all that the industry ever offers them. And that's not because it doesn't produce more, it doesn't have more potential. It's because that's where they elect to stop. And they don't really know how to grow beyond that. I will tell you that I believe value is more about culture, not about money. It's about all the things that make up the need structures. It's about, of course, making money because it is a business. It's about having more fun. It's about doing something that matters, having a sense of purpose around what you're doing with your business and your life. It's taking control of your life. It's about building better relationships, about contributing to something. It's about growing at something. All these things really compose value. And I will tell you, they're all really important. And you have to understand, if we kind of, in our business, the sales coordinator is sort of the level where the foundation kicks in. And for all of you that are new and that aren't at that point, I would tell you, if you really want to build a solid business, get to sales coordinator with a solid customer base and the beginning of the development of a team. And this is where you will find stability in the beginning of stability in the business. So we know that at sales coordinator, if we were to just say the average sales coordinator makes $500, I will tell you there are as many people that are sales coordinators making less than 100 as there are making over 1,000. So why is there that massive difference? That massive difference exists because at the end of the day, we have to understand the fundamentals of what matter to make this business work. So I'm going to give you those 4 fundamentals. I don't know that I've ever shared this before, but I probably should have. So a growing business in our business is about a growing customer base and a growing team. And it's those two things together. So I see a lot of people, for instance, in network marketing that preach recruiting, recruit, recruit, recruit. And I've seen incidents, we had one in Germany, for instance, where a team went on a 90-day campaign of recruiting. The idea was to recruit 20 people so that 2 would stick. At the end of 90 days, the leader that started it came to me and said, how can our business be going backwards? We've recruited 40% more people every month for 90 straight days, and our business went backwards. The reason was because everybody was recruiting team and nobody was building a customer base. And at the end of the day, network marketing is a distribution channel. It's a way that we move products and services to consumers. It always matters. It not only matters in this business, it matters in every business in the world. So we have to understand that a growing business is a growing customer base, and the bigger the team we have doing that, the more success we're going to have. The lifeblood of our business, so if I were to look at where is the real stability of our business, that lifeblood is certainly first and foremost with customers. We have a lot more customers in the Juice Plus business than we have distributors. Matter of fact, globally, about 80% of our business is actually real customers. That's what makes us unique in the network marketing business. You don't see that with other companies. Most companies, the customers are the distributors. We sort of gravitated away from that and led years ago in this whole customer-centric movement that's starting to define where network marketing goes. So customers are always going to be the foundation. And we'll talk about the paying activities. You'll hear more about that. The other one is what I call the micro entrepreneurs. So the micro entrepreneurs are just the part-time people. They're not the people that are working this as a plan A, although that might be their dream. That might be what they're hoping to do one day, is to kind of start a plan B part-time business and work it into a plan A business. That happens a lot, not an uncommon thing. But the micro entrepreneurs, here's what I can tell you about them. They're the largest part of our distributor base. They call in the most business. They call in the most applications. They have the most customers. And at the end of the day, if you just kind of think about it from a common sense standpoint, without customers, we can't have a business. And without solid and big amounts of part-time people, we can't create leadership. So if you're looking to ultimately become a leader and have an unlimited potential in this business, I will tell you, you got to get in the game of getting and keeping customers and part-time people and learning to move them through the system to keep them in the journey, what I call engagement. Now, for some of you, you might be looking for what a lot of people are looking for these days, which is speed. How do I make this thing go faster? You know, at the end of the day, I'm investing my time and I'm just not getting the return I want for it. To me, speed is about two things. It's about prospecting and learning how to do that more effectively. It's learning the game of attraction instead of recruiting. And it's about duplication, which is the efficiency of moving distributors through the system. If I were to give you an idea of how much duplication matters, I will tell you this. The fastest growing distributors we have in the world move almost 10 times the amount of dealers to SC as the rest of the world. That's why they're the most successful people in the world. If you can figure out how to make those micro entrepreneurs stay in the game and move through the system and ultimately create independent sales coordinators. Now, what I mean by an independent sales coordinator is a sales coordinator that can get a team that can build customers and build more part-time people. And that's the path to creating leadership. And the more you do that, the more successful you're going to be. And the longevity in our business, which is sort of what I was always about. If I go back to my journey with Jeff, I wasn't really, the most pride that I had wasn't the fact that we built one of the top 10 businesses. It was that when I left, it was at its peak. We always believed that longevity mattered more than anything. We wanted something that was a legacy business, something that was going to last. So we understood to do that. Here's what we had to do. 3 things. First, we had to build relationships. Relationships were always more important than sales. We were never willing to trade a sale for a relationship, and we were never willing to pursue a strategy that was about acquiring a customer or a team without that customer or team staying in the game. So for us, relationships became about engagement, how long we could keep customers and distributors in the game. And that is the true path to stability in our business. The second was we recognized that out of that pool of micro entrepreneurs would come a certain amount of leaders. And these leaders would be the stars, the rock stars of our business. You know, if I look at Jeff's business that's done almost $100 million in commissions and bonuses with the Juice Plus business, there's basically 26 frontline leadership groups there. Not a whole lot if you think about the extent of his business, just 26 people. You know, if you just did one solid group a year, it would only take 3 to 5 years to have more than a full-time business. This isn't something where you have to have thousands and thousands of relationships, but you need to develop good leaders. And those leaders have to be engaged, which means they have to be in the game, and they have to be engaged in production, not management. So as soon as they stop producing customers, and as soon as they stop producing new team members and stop that lifeblood coming in, what happens is they go into management mode and their business basically becomes a slow death. And this is something that we try to stay away from. We always try to keep our leaders engaged. And the final one was relevancy. We always understood to be a leader in business, you had to be relevant. We had to know what consumers want today. We had to know what the distributors wanted. We had to know how to provide this in business. We had to get good at technology and social media. My gosh, when we started, all the business we prospected was in classified ads. I don't even know if that exists anymore. So you always have to pursue relevancy in business. So those were the 4 sort of key things that we always did. Now, once we did those things, and once we had a framework to build, now it became, what did we focus on? So we focused on 6 things. And I'll tell you what the 6 things are. They're pretty common sense if you ask me. The first was getting customers. Clearly, if customers are the lifeblood, we have to get them. And we always would feed the funnel with new customers. There was never a time where we weren't trying to find new customers to add to the business. And a lot of times when we develop good prospecting system, not only do we add new customers, but we would help other people add new customers. That was sort of the value of systemization. Customers are the foundation. You always have to be adding them. The second is keeping customers. So we know that a sale that turns out that doesn't equate to a relationship is a failed business transaction. That was our mindset. And we knew that keeping customers was important to being able to build a foundationally strong business. And for us, it started as being qualified, which means having enough customers to be qualified for your bonuses. But it took one step farther for us in that we didn't want to be just qualified. We wanted to be qualified on repeat business. So we wanted so much stability that we had enough customers reordering that this is what kept us in qualification. And we talk a lot about a qualification or qualified business, but we don't talk about a qualified repeat business. This is a higher standard to operate in. The third is you always want to be trying to recruit team. And we know that there's lots of ways to recruit team. And, you know, it became a question over the years. There's certainly been a lot of debate about what's the best way to do this. Do we lead with the product? Do we lead with the opportunity? We know from studies that if you lead with the product, you have a 310% better chance of keeping a distributor engaged than if you lead with the business. So the product door always became the best door. What we're now seeing in relevant companies is they're not leading with the product or the opportunity. They're leading with the culture. They're leading with things like mission and relationships and movements, and product and opportunity are just part of the tenets that make up culture. Because what they realize is people want to be part of a family. They want to be part of something that has stability and longevity and that's fun. It's like this breathing organism that in business we call culture. And it's important to understand that if you're going to really build something amazing and attract really good people, you have to build a strong business culture. And I know with Casey, Megan, Chris, and Leslie, we spent literally a month talking about movements and culture and how to go about this. And the reason was because it's so important to doing this and attracting the right type of people. I will tell you this, I believe there are 2 paths to recruiting. One is to attract the right people, and the other is to recruit. I will tell you that after you recruit somebody, if what you're doing with them is trying to motivate them and develop them, you are likely in the recruiting business and not the attraction business. What you want to learn how to do is to attract better people. I want to be able to attract people that are proven in the marketplace, maybe proven entrepreneurs, are proven to be strong in health and nutrition. They're entrepreneurial by nature, because I know there's certain types of characteristics that I can attract in people. And these people, when they come in, don't need to be motivated. They're already self-motivated. I don't need to develop them. They live for development. They live for growth. And these are the people that come in and they just run. They're like, get out of the way. And probably the best example that kind of comes to mind is Linda Evenden. For those of you that might have met Linda when we were in, Anaheim, Linda talked about her business journey, and her and I have worked together for many, many years. And I watched her switch her business model from recruiting to attraction. And I watched her income go from about $4,000 a month to over $60,000 a month in about a 3-year period. And the reason was she started bringing in people like Adam and Kira Westwick. And if you know Adam, I would tell you, I think any one of you could have recruited Adam and he would have done the same thing. Although Linda added value to that, Adam is one of those people that's going to succeed in everything. And what was interesting is when she got into the attraction business, all of a sudden, all the people she was bringing in looked like this. And then she, this kind of developed, and you see all the strength of leadership, and they've kind of taken Australia by storm and built this amazing thing. And they're the first organization that showed us that we can have speed in our business and strong fundamentals. They got one guy on their team that was in Anaheim, Brian Marsh, that went to 100 Club in his 13th month, and he has a lower customer churn rate than most of the U.S. leadership. So they're really good at solid fundamentals, but they've learned how to bring speed into the business. And ultimately, it's not because of what they've developed, it's because of what they attract. And you got to get into the attraction business if you really want to master this activity. The fourth is keeping team. So this is about engagement. How long can you keep somebody engaged in the game? And that works at two ways. The best way is to move them through the system. So we know that engagement is higher as people move through the marketing plan. So if I start as a dealer and I move to a DD and then I move to a VF and then to an SC, it's the movement through the process that's exciting to people that a lot of times is what keeps them engaged. But ultimately, we have to understand that not everybody's going to move. Actually, a larger percentage of the people won't move. So what do we have to do? We have to addict them to the culture. We have to get them to be happy and engaged where they're at and define some level and path from growth from there, but not necessarily a fast move up the marketing plan. You got to remember, engagement isn't a race. It's a marathon. It isn't about how fast I can get somebody to somewhere. It's how long can I keep them. And what we really got good about was the marathon. We created an army of marathon runners, not an army of sprinters. Matter of fact, I will tell you, a lot of our sprinters would sprint to a position and they would die shortly afterwards because they didn't build on solid foundations. They didn't build relationships. So it didn't work. So let's get the 4 down again. Get customers, keep customers is 2. 3 is getting new team members. 4 is keeping new team members. 5th is something that is very different, and it has to do with the relevancy and the way the world's changed. The 5th one is expanding your warm market. So we've talked about for many, many years this concept of who do you know in your warm market, and starting with a memory jogger and making a list, and that's all good, and people do that with their business. But what we're seeing now is, because of social media and technology, the people that are having the most success, they really never have an ending warm market. There's not a point where they're not adding new people into their world. And the people that are doing this the best are the ones that are having the most success. So I will tell you that I think to be relevant in business today, you have to begin to understand that if all you're ever going to be able to do is to talk to people you know, you've really got to expand your skill sets to be able to talk to more people. In some respects, it's a little bit of a numbers game. If Casey and I are competing, which, by the way, I would lose every time, and she's recruiting 100 people a month and talking to 100 prospects a month, and I'm talking to 5, and this is going on every month, who do you think is going to have a bigger business? This isn't really that difficult to figure out. And the people that are doing that are just doing really well at using social media, learning how to communicate in social media, learning how to prospect in social media. And if you're not doing that, this would be a great place to look. And if you don't have, let's suppose you're not a social media person, there are other areas. You know, we have people that still do trade shows, that get out and meet people in very more what I would call traditional marketing and sales ways. That's okay. At the end of the day, I just want you to remember, if your warm market ends, then your business will likely end. You always want to be able to expand this. The last one for me is development. So you always hear at conferences and at events that David Beavers once coined the phrase that our business is a personal development journey disguised as a business, or something like that. And I will tell you that I believe you have to grow before your business grows. And that's what I mean by development. Now, this becomes interesting because I will tell you, I know a lot of people that look to develop that don't develop at all. And I will tell you, my journey has been the exact opposite. When I focus on development, I get results, because ultimately, this is what I understand. Development is about increasing my value in the marketplace. It's about being able to do things better that matter in the context of my business. Development for me was never about motivation. I don't go to events to be motivated. I'm very self-motivated. But what I was really focused on was learning how to solve problems that matter. So you have to remember, in business, problems are your gift. Matter of fact, one of my mentors used to tell me that business is nothing more than the pursuit of a higher quality problem. And I will tell you, if you want to get your business to grow, go find a higher quality problem to resolve. And because when you do, you're going to force yourself to grow. Now, if you're looking at development, you know, there's personal development, there's business development. It's such a big word, like, where do I focus? And here's where I would recommend you focus: at getting better at doing one of the 5 things that I mentioned before I started talking about development. Learn how to get better at getting customers. Learn how to get better at keeping customers, at building relationships with customers, at customer follow-up, at building standards around this. Learn how to prospect better to get team. Learn how to move people through the system. Learn how to do duplication. You know, all these things. Learn how to bring efficiency to your business. Ultimately, study social media, study prospecting models. I was, last night I was looking at, of all things, I love to go on YouTube because I like to study strategies. So I'm always looking for things. And I sent Casey and Leslie and Megan and Chris this email of this. It was a video from Holland of a guy singing on The Voice, the Redemption song. And I was like, wow, like, I love this song. Like, he did a really nice job. But I noticed that the song was actually sponsored by Unicity, which is a network marketing company. And I thought it was interesting that the whole description below it described their business and their products. And what they had done was really interesting. They understood that in today, influence and visibility are important to developing sort of longevity, to developing something bigger in business. So they took some guy's video, they put it as something that they subscribed, and they had 8.8 million people looking at that video and look down and would see, wow, who's Unicity? And 5,500 people that had been subscribers. Now, I share this story with you because this, to me, is the value of creativity. And this is the value of understanding the power of influence, and that influence is a form of capital in business. And the bigger your influence base, the more successful you're going to be in any business, but certainly in this type of a business. So kind of in closing, I don't know where I'm at with time, probably over, knowing me. I will tell you, I think there's only one limitation in this business, and that limitation is you. I have seen people that I would have bet were going to be the top distributors, going to be the next Jeff Roberti, and turned out that they did nothing. And I've seen other people that all the odds were against them. They weren't the one that I would have thought was going to win, and they climbed to the top. Because at the end of the day, this is a business where all the answers are there. This isn't a hard business to understand. It takes commitment. And the more committed you are and the better you are at doing, the more focused and better you are at doing it, over time, this thing sort of takes a life of its own. You know, you start and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm building a customer base and I'm investing all this time and I'm not necessarily getting a lot of return for my time. It isn't like a job. I'm not changing dollars for hours, because building relationships doesn't work that way. And then I begin to see this thing develop and my customers stay along and then some team members come. And then I start saying, wow, all of a sudden for the first time in my life, I'm seeing a business that's paying me for the efforts of others. And this is the differentiator. This is what allows you to build business wealth. Business wealth is just the formula. It's you times leverage. If your wealth in business is created solely by you, what I can promise you is you will hit a roof, because you are one person with one set of values, and there's only so many days and so much time in the week. And this is the problem with trading dollars for hours and building this type of a business. But when you start having customers coming back without you having to invest a lot into that, when you have team that become independent, all of a sudden you're a year or 2 or 3 years into this and you look at your business and it's like, my gosh, I'm making thousands of dollars a month. And this thousands of dollars a month is coming in because of a team I've built. I'm like a company now that has employees. And all of a sudden I get the value of leverage. And what I encourage you to do is to understand the power of leverage, because that's the power of network marketing. And if you're willing to commit to this and you're willing to work hard and you're willing to work smart, because it takes both. Smart was what I tried to give you guys clues to tonight. What does smart look like? If you're willing to do this, I believe you can have everything. I believe there's no limitation to what's possible. I will leave you with one final thought. There is one more piece of the puzzle to me, and that is that culture is ultimately about happiness. And no matter what you do in life, if you're not happy doing it, you'll eventually stop doing it. And happiness is something that everybody can create. It's what business cultures are trying to build, to define their cultures. It's about staying positive. It's about learning to be engaged in something. It's about building better relationships. It's about finding meaning in what you're doing. And it's about achieving. It's about growing and being more and having more and doing more every day. And I will tell you, if those things that define your journey in your business, happiness will follow and success will follow that. I do not believe there's such a thing of success without happiness. I think it's part of the formula. So I encourage you to embrace both. I hope everyone has gotten value from the call, gotten some good notes and some good clarity on where to go. And I certainly look forward to getting back on other calls in the future and hoping to guys to share a little bit more of my insight and experience.
Thank you, Gordon. Oh my gosh, I have 2 pages of notes.